Build your dreams, live rich, and leave rich.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are stripping away some of the polite veneer of retirement planning and looking at something much rawer.
Much more urgent, I think.
Yeah, and frankly, much more urgent. We're talking about the last mile of life. We are talking about that intersection of money, dignity, and, well, family dynamics.
It's a heavy topic, for sure. But it's one that really defines the quality of the last 20, maybe even 30 years of your life.
Exactly. So we're digging into a massive stack of materials today, including the framework from a book called The Legacy Diary and several very hard-hitting lectures from seasoned financial experts in the Indian market. And the mission today is very, very specific.
Yeah.
We want to figure out how to design a life where you never, and I mean never, have to ask anyone for money.
Not your children, not your relatives, no one.
We're looking for the formula for what the sources call absolute dignity.
And to get there, we really have to dismantle some very deeply held beliefs about what wealth actually looks like. Because as the sources point out, most people are chasing the wrong numbers.
Right. And I want to start with the hook that absolutely grabbed me from the source material. It was a quote, or rather a biological observation that just sets the stage for everything. The expert said, "Water naturally flows downwards."
Meaning love naturally flows from parents to children. It's like gravity.
It's exactly like gravity.
Yeah.
You don't need a law to tell a parent to feed their child. You don't need a contract to make a mother care for her infant. It's instinct. It's biological.
Yeah.
But for water to flow upwards, for care, attention, and resources to flow from children back to parents, especially in old age.
You're going to pump.
You need a pump. And the expert in the source material was, I mean, he was brutal about this. He said, that pump is money.
Oof.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here immediately. This sounds incredibly cynical. It sounds like we're saying children are, transactional mercenaries who will only love you if you pay them. Is it really that bleak?
It feels bleak if you look at it through a purely sentimental lens, sure. But the sources ask us to look at it through the lens of the sandwich generation. Right.
This is where so many of our listeners are right now. You've got people in their 40s. They are squeezing every single rupee to pay for their kids' international school fees, their home loan EMIs, inflation, their own retirement savings. They are exhausted.
So it's not that they don't want to care for the aging parent.
It's that they often can't without sacrificing their own immediate family stability.
Yeah.
It's a capacity issue. And if an aging parent is financially dependent, the relationship inevitably shifts.
So?
It goes from a relationship of, mutual respect to a relationship of burden and stress. The pump metaphor isn't about buying love, it's about removing friction.
Removing friction, that's a key phrase. I like that.
If you have your own resources, you remain a giver. If you don't, you inevitably become a taker, and the household dynamic shifts instantly when the patriarch or matriarch becomes a taker.
Right.
So the whole mission of the Legacy Diary and these financial teachings is to ensure you remain a giver until your very last breath. That distinction, giver versus taker, that is going to be our North Star today. But to remain a giver, you need the right financial engine. And the sources argue that most Indian families are, building the wrong engine because they confuse assets with wealth.
Huge, huge distinction. You can be asset heavy and life poor.
Rich on paper.
And absolutely miserable in reality. Yeah.
So let's get into the mechanics of it. This is the big idea section of our deep dive. The Legacy Diary uses this vehicle analogy to explain different asset classes. I found this incredibly useful because it just cuts through all the jargon.
It's a great analogy.
It compares your financial journey to a physical trip from point A, which is the start of your career, to point B, which is financial freedom or retirement.
Right. You need a vehicle to cross that distance. And the book outlines 4 choices, and most people, they're picking the wrong one for the distance they need to cover.
Okay, let's walk through them. The first one is walking. This corresponds to the savings bank account and the fixed deposit, the FD.
The default setting for millions and millions of Indians. It feels safe, secure, guaranteed, all those words we love.
But is it safe, though? The sources seem to suggest it's anything but.
In the short term, yes, absolutely. If you are walking, you aren't going to trip and, break your neck. Your principal amount is secure. The number in your bank account won't go down.
Okay.
But in the context of a 30-year journey, it's arguably the most dangerous vehicle you could choose.
Dangerous. That's a really strong word for an FD. I mean, my grandmother loves her FDs.
Yeah.
Everyone's grandmother loves FDs.
It's dangerous because it's deceptive. It's a slow poison. Think about it.
Yeah.
If you are walking, you move at maybe 3 to 4 kilometers an hour. That's your interest rate, post-tax. Maybe 5% if you're really lucky.
Right.
But the road is moving backwards underneath you. That's inflation. And in India, it's not just regular inflation, it's lifestyle inflation, medical costs, fuel, education. That's easily 7% or 8%.
So if my money is growing at 5% and my cost of living is growing at 8%,
You are safely, securely, and guaranteed to become poor every single year. You are walking backward. You will never, ever reach point B before you run out of time. That's just the mathematical reality. You are losing purchasing power every single day you stay in that vehicle for the long haul.
okay, wow. So walking is out for wealth creation. It's fine for parking money, for an emergency fund maybe, but not for traveling the distance.
Exactly.
Next up in the analogy, the bike. This represents direct stocks, trading.
Oh, the bike. Now, a bike is fast. You can weave through traffic. You can get 20%, 30%, even 50% returns if you pick the right stock at the right time. It's thrilling.
I sense a butt coming.
A big but. Ask yourself, who creates the accident on the road? Most of the time, it's the biker.
Because there's no seatbelt.
No protection. No seatbelt, no airbag, no steel cage around you. And most importantly, you are the driver. This is the crucial point the sources make again and again. To ride a bike safely at high speed, you need high skill and 100% focus. You need to know the road conditions, the weather, the mechanics of the bike.
And the source material mentions the Dunning-Kruger effect here, right? Which
Yeah.
is fascinating.
Yes, it's so relevant to investing. In a bull market, when the road is smooth and downhill, everyone thinks they're a MotoGP racer. Everyone is making money. Everyone's a genius.
Right.
But when the market hits a pothole, a crash, a correction, if you don't have the temperament and the skill, you wipe out. You crash alone.
And most of us have day jobs. We are engineers, doctors, teachers. We can't sit and stare at a ticker tape all day.
Precisely. If you treat stock picking like a hobby, you will eventually pay a very heavy tuition fee to the market. The sources are clear. Direct equity requires a full-time commitment to risk management that 99% of people simply don't have.
Fair enough. So walking is too slow, the bike is too risky. Then we have the vehicle that every Indian uncle loves, the obsession, the car. This represents physical assets, gold and real estate.
The status symbol. I own 3 flats. I have this much gold. It looks great in the driveway. It offers immense social prestige. It feels real. You can touch it. And yes, historically, it beats inflation slightly better than walking.
But the downside. The sources were very, very specific about the hidden costs here.
Oh, yes. Maintenance and friction. A car needs insurance, fuel, repairs, servicing. Real estate is exactly the same. Property tax, painting, plumbing, finding good tenants, dealing with brokers. It requires active management.
Yeah.
But the biggest issue, and this is so central to our theme of dignity, is liquidity. We call this the steering wheel problem.
I love this visual. Go on, explain the steering wheel problem.
Okay, so imagine you are driving your expensive car, your 2-row flat, but you run out of cash for lunch. You're hungry. You have this massive, valuable asset, but you can't detach the steering wheel and sell it to buy a sandwich.
Right.
You have to sell the whole car.
Real estate is lumpy. You can't just sell off a small piece.
Exactly. You can't sell one bedroom to pay for a bypass surgery. You can't chip off a piece of the balcony to pay for a world tour. You are locked in. You are asset rich, but cash poor. And when you need money now, real estate is often the hardest thing to sell. Distressed sales lead to massive losses.
We're definitely going to circle back to that because that liquidity issue is actually a dignity issue, as you said. So walking is too slow, the bike is too risky, the car is high maintenance and illiquid. That leaves us with a big recommendation from the sources. The bus.
That's the bus. Specifically, the mutual fund.
Stick with the analogy for me. Why a bus?
Think about a modern Volvo inner-city bus. It's powerful, it's much faster than walking, and so much safer than a bike. It has a massive engine. But the critical difference, the thing that changes your life, is you are not driving.
You hired a driver.
A professional.
A professional driver. A fund manager. This is someone whose entire career, their education, their incentive structure is built around navigating that road. They know where the potholes are. They know when to downshift. They know when to overtake. You just buy a ticket.
And that's the unit of the mutual fund.
Exactly. You buy the ticket, you sit in the back, you read a book, you take a nap. You focus on your actual job or your family. And you arrive at the destination wealth creation without all the stress of the journey. I really like that. It removes the ego from investing. You don't have to be the genius. You just have to be smart enough to hire the genius by buying the ticket.
Precisely. And the data provided in the lectures is just. It's undeniable. Over a 15 to 20-year period in India, a diversified equity mutual fund has historically delivered 12% to 15% returns.
Which comfortably beats that 7–8% inflation we talked about.
Comfortably. It beats it by a healthy margin. That gets you to retirement safely and on time.
Okay, so the vehicle of choice is the bus. But having the right vehicle doesn't matter if you don't really understand the destination. And the sources talk a lot about this idea of live rich versus look rich. This is where we get into the whole psychology of wealth.
This is the trap. The difference between net worth and really self-worth.
They mentioned the one more year syndrome. This really struck a chord with me. We assume financial anxiety only happens to people who are, struggling to pay their bills. But the sources say this plagues the wealthy.
It plagues the very wealthy. The experts talk about NRIs, corporate leaders, business owners with net worths of 8 crores, 10 crores. I mean, massive wealth by any Indian standard.
Right.
But they are miserable. They hate their jobs. They're burnt out. They want to spend time with their families, but they cannot quit.
Why? I mean, if I had 10 crores, I'd be recording this from a beach in Goa. I'd be done.
Because they don't trust the money. It's a fascinating psychological block. They are rich on paper, but poor in spirit. They have no system to convert that 10 crore asset into a reliable monthly paycheck.
So it's just a number on a screen.
It's just a big, scary number. They look at the pile of money and think, what if the market crashes? What if I get sick? What if it runs out? So they say, let me work just one more year. Let me add 1 more crore to the pile. Then I'll be safe.
But the next year comes.
And the goalpost just moves. It's anxiety masking as ambition. They are trapped on a treadmill of their own making because they lack financial clarity.
And this is where something like the legacy diary isn't just a logbook of assets. It's a clarity tool.
Correct. The anxiety usually comes from chaos. I have money in this account and that policy, some land in the village, some gold in the locker. It's just a mess. When you organize it, when you see the total, and more importantly, you see the withdrawal strategy, which we'll get into, the brain clicks, it realizes, wait, I'm done. I've actually won the game.
Okay, let's get technical now. We've talked about the feeling. Let's talk about the math. For the listener earning, say, 50,000 or 1 lakh a month, 10 crores sounds like fantasy fiction. It sounds impossible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the math of the first crore.
This is probably the most important math lesson of this entire deep dive. The first crore is a grind. It is a slog. There's no sugarcoating it.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts. Depending on your savings rate, it might take 10, 12, maybe even 15 years of disciplined investing to hit that first 1 crore mark. It feels like pushing a boulder uphill. You save, the market goes down, you save more, it stays flat. It really tests your patience.
But then, the physics changes.
The magic of compounding kicks in. We all know the rule of 72, right? At 12% returns, your money doubles roughly every 6 years. So to go from 0 to 1 crore takes you 15 long years. But to go from 1 crore to 2 crores...
It doesn't take another 15 years.
No way. It takes about 5 to 6 years because now your 1 crore is earning 12 lakhs a year on its own. Your money is working just as hard as you are.
That's incredible. So 15 years for the first step, but only 6 years for the second.
And to go from 2 crores to 4 crores? Another 5-6 years. By the time you are at 4 crores, a good year in the market, say a 15% jump adds 60 lakhs to your net worth, that's likely more than your entire annual salary.
That's the escape velocity moment they talk about.
Yes, that is when you are truly financially free. But you have to survive the boring, slow slog of the first 10 years to get there. Most people quit in the first 5 years because it's not working.
But it is.
It is working. Bamboo grows underground for years before it shoots up 90 feet in a few weeks. Compounding is the same.
Let's apply this to the middle-class reality check that was mentioned in the notes. We have a listener. Their active income is 30,000 rupees a month. They feel they can never be wealthy. They feel stuck.
Okay, so if that person stays on the bus, systematic investment, and manages to build a corpus of 1 crore over their career, that 1 crore in a mutual fund can generate a safe monthly withdrawal of roughly 60,000 rupees.
Wait. Break that down for me. How does 1 crore become 60K a month? This is the SWP mechanism, right? The systematic withdrawal plan.
This is the SWP. This is the secret weapon of the wealthy. And it's so simple. You keep the corpus invested in a balanced fund or maybe a conservative hybrid fund. You don't sell everything. You simply instruct the fund to sell a tiny portion every month and credit your bank account.
It's like a reverse EMI. Instead of paying money, you're receiving it.
Exactly. A safe withdrawal rate is generally considered to be around 6% per annum. So 6% of 1 crore is 6 lakhs a year. That's 50,000 a month. If you stretch it slightly or if the market performs well, you can easily hit 60K.
So the passive income from the portfolio is double their active salary of 30K.
That is the definition of financial independence. When your asset earns more than your sweat, You have successfully replaced your labor with capital.
This leads us directly into the biggest fight in every Indian living room, the apartment versus the fund.
Oh, this is the classic battle. It's a generational war.
The parents always say, buy a second flat. The rent will be my pension. But the sources say, that is a terrible mathematical decision. Prove the source is right.
Let's just look at the yield. The numbers don't lie. In most major cities, let's say Hyderabad, Bangalore, or Mumbai, the rental yield is historically low. We're talking 2.5% to 3%.
Meaning if I buy a flat for 1 crore.
You will get roughly 25,000 rupees a month in rent. Maybe 30K if you're very lucky. But wait,
There's more.
from that 25K, you have to subtract property tax, you subtract society maintenance charges, you subtract painting and repairs every few years. And if the tenant leaves, it sits empty for 2, maybe 3 months. Your income is zero.
So your actual in-hand income might be closer to 15K or 20K a month.
Correct. Now, let's take that same 1 crore, put it in a conservative hybrid mutual fund, not even pure equity, something safer that mixes debt and equity. Set up an SWP at 6% or 7%. You are getting 50,000 to 60,000 rupees a month directly into your bank account, no questions asked.
Okay, 25,000 from rent versus 60,000 from an SWP. It's not even close.
It's a lifestyle difference. One is survival, the other is comfort. One is, I can barely pay the electricity bill. The other is, let's take the grandkids out for dinner. And we haven't even touched on the sheer nightmare of being landlord at age 75. Do you really want to be chasing tenants for rent? Do you want to deal with plumbing issues when you have arthritis?
No, I want the money to just hit my account while I sleep.
Exactly. And this brings us right back to that core concept. Liquidity, dignity. This was a major, major theme in the sources. The idea that having land doesn't mean you have dignity. Having cash flow does.
The source material had a very emotional story about a donor that illustrates this perfectly. Could you tell us about that?
Yes. A client of the financial expert wanted to donate 75 lakhs in memory of his late son. It was the anniversary of his passing. A very emotional, heavy moment for the family. And he wanted to do it immediately to capture the emotion of the day.
He wanted to make an impact right then and there.
Yes. Because his wealth was financial, it was held in mutual funds, the advisor could simply click a button. Redemption. The money was in his bank account in 48 hours. The donation was made. The father felt empowered. He fulfilled his wish. He honored his son in the way he wanted to.
But if that 75 lakhs had been locked up in a plot of land or a flat,
It would have been a nightmare. It would have been stressful. I have to find a buyer. The market is down right now. The registration office is closed today. The buyer is asking for a huge discount. The moment passes. The emotion turns into frustration and helplessness. Liquidity gives you the power to act on your desires, whether that desire is charity, a world tour, or getting the best possible medical care without a delay.
that story really highlights the self-respect corpus. And there was another great story, the story of Krish from the Legacy Diary. This feels like a blueprint for every parent listening right now.
Krish is a retiree who absolutely cracked the code. He had substantial assets. He did what most Indian parents do. He distributed the physical assets, the land, the gold, the houses, to his children while he was still alive. He wanted to see them settled.
Which is a noble goal. But usually this is where the story goes wrong. The parent gives everything away and then has to start asking for money for daily expenses.
But Krish was smart. He kept 1 crore for himself and his wife. He put 50 lakhs in a debt fund, which is very safe, and 50 lakhs in a conservative hybrid fund. And he called this his self-respect corpus.
I love that name. Why that name?
Because it generates his monthly income via SWP. He pays for his own BP medicine. If the whole family decides to go on vacation, he pays for his own ticket, and he treats the grandkids to ice cream. He buys gifts for his daughter-in-law on her birthday. He is always a giver.
It completely changes the power dynamic in the family.
Completely. In any culture, but especially in ours, the hand that gives is the hand that commands respect. The moment you have to ask your son-in-law or your daughter for money to buy a new pair of shoes, your status in the household drops. It shouldn't, but it does. The source explicitly warns, give too much too soon, and you lose both your wealth and your respect.
That's a really hard pill to swallow for the sacrificial parent archetype we have.
Yeah.
We're taught to give everything to the kids. But you're saying the greatest gift you can give your kids is not your money, but your independence.
100%. If you are financially independent, you are never a burden. You are never a source of stress or guilt for them. That is a gift. That allows your children to focus on their own growth, their own families, without worrying about how will we pay for dad's knee surgery.
I want to pivot for a moment to the younger crowd listening. The FIRE movement. financial independence, retire early. In the U.S., this means, living in a van, eating lentils, and quitting your job at 30. What does it really mean in the Indian context?
In India, the sources define it a bit differently. It's more like financial independence, work optional. We have family duties, we support our parents, we have weddings to fund. We can't just vanish into the woods.
Right.
The math, however, is robust and universal. You need roughly 25 to 30 times your annual expenses invested.
So if I spend, say, 12 lakhs a year to live comfortably,
You'd need a corpus of around 3 to 3.5 crores invested. That allows for a safe withdrawal rate that can keep pace with inflation over a long retirement. But the biggest enemy of FIRE in India is what the sources call the dink trap. Dual income, no kids.
the power couples,
Yeah.
the IT crowd in Bangalore and Hyderabad.
They are the most vulnerable. You have a husband and wife, both in IT or corporate, bringing in a combined 5, maybe 6 lakhs a month. They feel rich, they feel invincible, so what do?
They buy the BMW. They buy the 3 crore villa in a gated community.
Yeah.
The big EMI.
Lifestyle inflation. They upgrade their lifestyle to match their income instantly. They save like paupers, even though they earn a fortune. The sources warn that this phase, your late 20s and 30s, is the golden window of wealth creation. If you can keep your lifestyle middle class while earning an upper class income, you can hit financial freedom in 10, 12 years.
It's all about the gap. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is your freedom.
Exactly. Mind the gap. If you let your expenses rise to meet your income, you are on the corporate treadmill until you are 60, no matter how much you earn.
Let's look at some specific scenarios from the sources.
Mhm.
These really highlight the difference between societal thinking, what the neighbors expect, and smart thinking, which is what actually builds wealth. Scenario 1, the wedding versus the MBA.
A classic dilemma. A middle-class father has saved a corpus of 1 crore. He has a daughter. His plan is to spend 6 lakhs on her education and 30 lakhs on her wedding. Because, lag hekka hench, what will people say? It has to be a grand affair.
The expert in the video just flipped this logic completely on its head.
He said, reverse the budget. Spend 30 lakhs on the education. Send her to a top-tier business school, maybe even abroad. Spend 6 lakhs on a simple, elegant wedding with close family and friends.
What's the ROI argument here? The return on investment.
Think about it. If you spend 6 lakhs on her education, she gets a mediocre degree. She gets a starting job of maybe 4 or 5 lakhs a year. She struggles. She's often financially dependent on her husband or her father.
Okay, but with the 30 lakh education.
She goes to a top institute. She starts her career at 18 or 20 lakhs a year. She becomes an economic engine herself. And here is the power couple effect the expert mentioned. If she is earning 20 lakhs, she is very likely to marry someone in her professional circle, another MBA or engineer who is also earning 20 lakhs.
So their household income starts at 40 lakhs per year.
You have launched a dynasty of wealth. You have created a power couple versus throwing a party for 500 relatives who will complain about the paneer anyway and forget the whole thing in a week.
Harsh, but so true. Invest in capabilities, not just celebrations. That is the true legacy. Okay, scenario 2, the asset-rich farmer. We touched on this, but let's go a little deeper.
Yes, we saw the example of the 67-year-old gentleman. He owns 12 acres of pomegranate orchards near Mysore. On paper, he's a crorepati. He is worth millions. But in reality, he's stressing about the electricity bill because the harvest payment from the buyers delayed or the crop yield was low that season.
He is rich, but he feels poor on a day-to-day basis.
Contrast that with the SWP retiree we discussed earlier, the man withdrawing 90,000 rupees a month from his mutual funds.
The one who called his daughter to brag.
Yes, he calls his daughter to brag. He says, guess what? I just spent 16,000 rupees on new clothes for myself. He is happy. His daughter is happy because he isn't calling to ask for help. He's calling to share his joy. He is enjoying the fruit of his labor.
That phrase from the book, Living Worth versus Net Worth, it really lands here.
You can't eat net worth. You can't pay a hospital bill with your net worth statement. You need cash flow. Living worth is how much utility and happiness your money provides you on a daily basis.
Okay, we've talked a lot about offense making money, growing money. Now we need to talk about defense. You can build a magnificent castle, but if you leave the gate wide open, the enemy will walk right in.
Yes.
The sources highlight 2 major threats to your wealth in the last mile: health catastrophes and scams.
Health insurance is the single biggest wealth protector you can have. One major hospitalization can wipe out 10 years of your savings. But there is a massive misconception out there. People think insurance companies reject claims just to be evil or to save money.
I mean, it often feels that way, doesn't it? You pay premiums for years and years. When you finally need it, they find some reason to say no.
It feels that way, but often it's because we didn't read the rulebook. The expert laid out the waiting period traps that catch almost everyone. It's crucial to understand these.
Okay, walk us through these traps. This is vital information for everyone listening.
Trap 1, the 30-day rule. You buy a policy today, you feel safe, you get dengue next week and go to the hospital. Is it covered?
I would assume so. I have a policy.
Nope. For the first 30 days of any new policy, only accidents are covered. You are completely naked for any illness. If you have a heart attack on day 20, you pay for it out of your own pocket.
I did not know that. That's scary.
Trap 2 is even bigger. This is the 2-year moratorium on what they call slow-growing illnesses. The insurance company has a specific list: cataracts, kidney stones, hernia, hysterectomy, piles. They assume these things take time to develop.
Right.
So the policy explicitly says, we will not cover these specific conditions for the first 24 months of the policy.
So if I buy a policy today and get diagnosed with kidney stones in month 6, I have to pay for the surgery myself.
Yes, and people call this a scam. They fight with the agent. They post angry reviews. But it's right there in the black and white text. You have to survive the first 2 years for those things to be covered. This is why you must buy insurance when you are young and healthy, not when you start feeling pain.
And the big one, pre-existing diseases, diabetes, blood pressure.
The golden rule here is honesty. Extreme, total honesty. If you have BP, tell them. If you have diabetes, declare it. Yes, they will probably load your premium. It will cost a bit more. Yes, they might say, we won't cover diabetes-related hospitalizations for the first 3 or 4 years.
But it's worth it to declare it.
It's everything. Because if you hide it, imagine this scenario. You hide your high blood pressure. 5 years later, you have a heart attack. You submit a claim for 10 lakhs. The doctor, in the discharge summary, writes, patient has a known history of hypertension because you told him the truth in the hospital.
Oh, no.
The insurance investigator sees that one line. They check your original proposal form. You didn't declare it.
Claim rejected.
Claim rejected. And worse, policy canceled. They keep all your past premiums. You lose everything. It is far better to be covered with some exclusions than to think you're covered and get a 0 when disaster strikes.
That is a powerful, powerful warning. Declare everything. Now, the other threat, the digital threat. The world is changing so fast, scams are getting terrifyingly sophisticated. The source mentioned digital arrests. This sounds like something straight out of a dystopia.
It is a psychological siege. Scammers pose as the CBI, the police, or the Narcotics Bureau. They get on a video call with you. They have official-looking backgrounds, and they say, a parcel with drugs was found in your name, or your Aadhaar card was used for money laundering. You are under digital arrest.
What does that even mean?
They tell you to keep the camera on. Do not leave the room. Do not talk to your family. We are watching you. They isolate you completely. They keep you on the line for 6 hours, 12 hours, sometimes 24 hours. They wear you down with fear, jargon, and authority.
And then what happens?
Then they say, to prove your innocence, you must transfer all your funds to this government verification account. We will check it for criminal activity and then refund it. And educated people, doctors, lawyers, techies, fall for it because they are in a state of pure panic.
How do we defend against something like that?
Skepticism, absolute radical skepticism. The police do not do video call interrogations. That is not a procedure. If you get a call like that, just cut it, block the number, talk to someone.
And the source mentioned a specific tool.
mChavoc. It's a government-supported tool mentioned in the source material that scans your phone for malicious apps, because another common vector is the APK file. Here's a wedding invite. Download this app to see the video. You download it, and it's malware. It reads your OTPs, it grants remote access, and it drains your bank account while you sleep.
So never download raw files from unknown sources.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. And the eternal rule of scams.
If a scheme promises to double your money in 3 days, it is a scam, period. There is no such investment on planet Earth. Only scams do that.
We've covered a lot of ground. We've torn down the asset-rich myth. We've built up the mutual fund bus. We've defended against illness and digital thieves. Now, let's put it all together. If a listener wants to be in the top 10% of financial security, if they want to be ahead of 90% of the population, what is the action framework?
Okay, let's boil it down to 5 essential, non-negotiable steps. If you do these 5 things, you win the game.
Okay, step 1.
Emergency fund. Before you invest a single rupee, protect yourself. Keep 6 to 12 months of your living expenses in a liquid fund or just a separate bank account. This is your sleep well money. It ensures that if the market crashes or you lose your job, you don't have to break your long-term investments at a loss.
Step 2.
Protection, health insurance, and a big one. A minimum of 25 lakhs cover medical inflation is crazy. And term insurance, pure risk cover. Do not mix insurance with investment, no endowment plans, no money-back policies, just pure term and pure health.
Got it. Step 3.
The investment engine. Start an SIP, a systematic investment plan in a diversified equity mutual fund. The expert recommends flexi-cap or multi-cap funds because they invest across all company sizes. Get on the bus.
And stay on the bus, don't get off.
Yes, that's the most important part. Do not jump off when the road gets a little bumpy. Stay invested for 10, 15, 20 years. Ignore the noise.
Okay, step 4.
Documentation. This is the whole point of the legacy diary. It's not enough to have the money. You must document it. Write down what you own, where it is, the policy numbers, the passwords, the nominees for every single account.
And then share it.
Share the location of this diary with one trusted person, your spouse, your child. If you die and nobody can find your money, you didn't leave a legacy. You left a donation to the bank. Unclaimed deposits in India are in the thousands of crores. Don't let your hard work end up there.
An absolutely crucial point. And step 5.
The 50-30-20 rule. A simple, powerful budgeting framework. 50% of your income for needs, this is your rent, your food, your EMIs, 30% for wants, your movies, travel, gadgets, and 20%, that final 20% must go to investing.
And that 20% is the floor, not the ceiling.
Exactly.
Right.
If you want to achieve FIRE, you need to push that number to 40% or even 50%, but never ever go below 20%. That is the price of your future freedom.
It's a solid list. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful.
And I'd add a final philosophical takeaway that really stood out to me from all the sources. We spend our lives trying to accumulate more. More land, more gold, more zeros in the bank account. But the ultimate goal isn't the number itself.
What is it then?
It's the independence. The true legacy isn't the cash you leave behind for your kids to fight over. It's the memory of a parent who was secure, happy, and dignified. A parent who could buy their own medicines and also buy gifts for their grandkids.
That's the self-respect corpus in action.
Indeed. It's about being a giver until the very end. That's the real wealth.
As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with the reflection question that was posed in the source material. It's a bit haunting, I have to admit, but it's necessary.
It's the question that should drive you to take action today.
If you were unable to manage your finances starting tomorrow morning, if you had a stroke or an accident or just weren't there, would your family know what you own, what you owe, and how to access it? Or would your hard-earned wealth simply vanish in confusion?
If the answer is no, they wouldn't have a clue, then you have homework to do. Start your diary tonight.
Financial planning is ultimately an act of love. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Invest smart and stay safe.